Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Gail, and this is Diana Boles. You see her in the chat as oil painter. Thank you for coming today. We're going to be talking about astrology of March. Let me say hello to some people here. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Esther. Hey, Susie 007.
I see.
Here. Oh, Emerald Buddha. There, my whole thing goes crazy there for a minute. Hey, Prince Charming's mom. Hey, rainbows and moonbeams, butterfly kisses. Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm so glad you're here. And as I said, we're going to be talking a little bit about March and the energy of March. There's so much energy going on here. And I thought Diana should come on. And hey, Lauren. Hey, Captain Morgan. Talk about what is going on in March. And I know the equinox is coming up. And I talk to Nancy Jean all the time, and she's been talking about March since January. And Diana's going, oh, I understand why, but of course, I'm not the big astrology expert, so I am bringing on the person who is. So, Diana, take off, and hey, Ethnicity, tell us about what's going on with March and try to bring it down to where at least I can understand it. And that takes a lot. Exactly. Well, that's how astrology is for me.
Wait till I mention the word retrograde.
I know. Then I go, okay, retrograde.
Yeah, there you go. Well, okay. Let me just say this to you about retrograde because maybe it can help you. Say you're in your car and I'm in my car and we're on the expressway and we both have our automatic speed control set to 70 degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going along at the same. I click mine off because I'm about to get off, right? Mm-hmm. What happens? When I slow down, what happens? It looks like I'm going backwards because you're going forwards.
Right.
So that's what retrograde is. It isn't really that the planet goes backwards. It's just that it does slow down while the rest continue to move at their orbital speed around the sun with us, moving around the sun, even though we look at a chart and think of it as everybody's rotating around us. It's not really that way, but it's close to it. So when Mars retrogrades or Mercury retrogrades, it's just an illusion. They just slow down in their orbital speed and pattern and make a change. Okay. So Pluto is going to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, so tell us how that relates to March and tell us about March.
Okay, well, let's start at the beginning because that very first week, last week, before we just...
I'm taking notes.
Okay, you do that. So March 7th, that first week on March 2nd, we had Mercury. Where did I put that note? Oh, for Pete's sakes, now I lost track of it already. March 7th. There we go. I'm just messing up my notes already. That's because...
Well, I'll just say that everybody, there's Susie in the background, and she'll be womaning. I know she'll be watching the chat, so she's back in the background. She's not eating popcorn today.
No, but she's drinking apple juice in her coffee. What's that?
No. She's got an apple juice story, but she'll go into that later.
Well, on March 2nd, we had Mercury go into Pisces. So Mercury doesn't care to be in Pisces very much because Mercury is Quicksilver. And he just wants to go and bring back information and tell you all about it. But in Pisces, he has a harder time doing that. In Pisces, it's like, oh, I get to take a break. And he just, wants to go to La La Land like the rest of us. He wants to dream. He wants to, slow down that activity just a little bit. Play with the dolphins, play in the water. So that whole first week was about resetting everything, slowing down, getting things together, putting things in order that could kind of take care of themselves, right? So we built up to this full moon on March 7th that just happened 2 days ago. I don't know about you, but I felt it about half an hour before Saturn actually hit 0 degrees of Pisces. My whole body went, woo.
Yeah, tell everybody or explain to everybody how, when people, astrologers are saying you feel it, how do you feel it? I mean, what kind of, I don't want to say symptoms, but that's the word for me. What kind of symptoms do you have?
It is symptoms because I feel volcanoes. I feel earthquakes. As long as it's over 3 point something, I'm generally pretty aware of it, especially if it's in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a rocking sensation. Sometimes I get a little nauseated. It's not vertigo, but it's a dizziness. But I've had vertigo. It's not like that at all. It's not that whoosh, 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 whoosh. It's like the move. It's just feeling the movement. Maybe it's because I'm barefoot all the time. But those are some of the things to look for. An ability to stretch your muscles more, an ability to, or feeling cramped, feeling like it's harder to move.
Okay, so when people are feeling these issues or symptoms, is there something they can do to minimize them?
Especially if they're uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. 2 feet on the ground.
Both feet on the ground.
Yeah, barefoot if you can. Grab your crystals. Hang on to your favorite grounding stone.
Okay, so basically grounding is going to help those issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, soda crackers don't hurt.
Okay.
Right, nurse?
Well, definitely for the nausea part.
Right?
In fact, my sister and I had that conversation yesterday, that any procedure that you have, what's the first thing that you do is you give crackers, or graham crackers, soda crackers, and that's to calm. Even if you've already eaten, that's the first thing that you do, give them something to drink and something to eat.
Sure, especially if you've had anesthetic of any kind, or a coma induced,
Well, it doesn't even have to be anesthesia. It's just if there's any kind of trauma that's done to your body, or
yes,
then that's
right.
The first thing that a person
sure
is
avoid shock. Avoid shock.
Right.
Right. So that was that reality check that first week. So we were all pretty well ready for this to come because it happened an hour after the exact full moon.
Okay.
Right? So what we can see happening with Saturn in Pisces.
Now, is this the second week or are you still talking about the first week?
Well, now I'm on to Saturn and its move. It made the same move at the same time as the full moon. Okay.
Okay.
So we had the moon in Pisces and we have Saturn stepping into Pisces. Now, Pisces doesn't have many boundaries. You know how hard it is to hold water in your hand, right? It's this way with all the water signs. But
are you
Pisces?
Are you pointing to me for some reason?
Well, because everybody, yes, Dr. Gail's birthday is in 2 days. Happy birthday!
Oh, thank you.
So yes, I'm using her as the guinea pig today because she is a lovely little Pisces. So because you can't hold water in your hand, there's this lack of boundary. It's the ability to explore. Lack of boundary is not exactly right because, of course, you have other things in your chart. Mm-hmm. So there are boundaries being set, but Pisces is the first one to say, oh, let's go swimming. The heck with that. Let's go swimming. But now that we have Saturn in Pisces and moving more and more into Pisces every day, he's looking for the chalice to hold the water. So even though there's going to be a loosening of bounds,
Thank you, Esther.
still, yeah, right. There's still going to be a restriction until we get to the end of the month when Pluto becomes a little more intense again. Not that he isn't intense right now, but it's going to build up and build up.
How does that restriction affect us?
That restriction, this is you setting your boundaries, right?
Okay.
Pluto is at 29 degrees.
Now, is this just for me or is this for everybody?
Everybody.
Everybody experiencing March. Okay.
Right. We are all under the same sky.
Okay. Okay.
So no matter what our sun sign is, what our rising sign is, what our north node is, where our Mars is, where our Mercury is, what our moon is, things change around us all the time. That's the blueprint we bring to the table. That's our personal blueprint, our birth chart. But what's going on up there affects all of us. How it affects us as an individual, that's when the signs and the houses in which planet is where comes into effect. Because what aspect is that transiting planet casting on your blueprint? What aspects do you already have in your chart that are being lit up by something that's already occurring in the sky? So we have planets that move fast. The moon, 2.5 days. The sun, every 30 days. Even the hourly, every 2.5 hours, the rising sign changes.
Oh, wow.
And then we have Mercury zipping along, 88 days to a year? And just goes really fast, right? And then we have Mars, who slows down a little bit. And then we have Earth and then Mars, third rock from the sun. Who we got? Venus, Jupiter. Now we're getting out there a little bit with Jupiter. Saturn was still close enough to see in the times of Copernicus, right? But he controlled Capricorn, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. But once Jupiter was discovered, Saturn eased up and he controlled Capricorn and Aquarius. And Jupiter controlled Sagittarius and expansive Pisces.
Now, I'm going to ask, so are we still talking about the first week or are we going into the second week yet?
Now, I'm just giving you a general overview of what transiting planets are like. So at one time, as I was saying, that Saturn once controlled a bunch of signs. Mm-hmm. As other planets were discovered, his load got lightened, but he's still a co-ruler to those signs. It's not like he's negated. So let me take a sip. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I understand all that, or not, don't understand that, but I was really wanting to focus on how that's affecting each week of March, how we're being affected by these changing planets.
So Saturn once did control Pisces. So though he's not really so much of a co-ruler anymore, because he likes his boundaries and foundations, and Pisces is in a open territory and prefers it that way, he still has input. So he may not be extremely comfortable there because he's looking for the chalice to hold the water in, but he's going to be in Pisces for the next 3 years. And as he gets deeper and deeper into Pisces, what we're going to see is a loosening of the restrictions and also boundaries that we can live with.
Okay.
that we can establish and we can live with. Okay. So then, and then on the 11th, we have Jupiter, who is, this is important because Jupiter will be conjunct Chiron in Aries, Jupiter's in Aries, and Venus is in Aries. And these three planets are conjunct. They're a degree apart, and maybe there's 5 degrees at this point between Venus and Jupiter, but that's tightening up and getting closer and closer and closer. This is a great time to take a look at your old wounds, the ones from your childhood, the ones from past lives, the things that you do to self-sabotage. Because we all have those moments when I need 6 more Oreos, No, I don't. But
6.
but they melt so good in your mouth, So it's a good time to start discovering and see what it is we can let go of. Because Jupiter can help expand it enough for you to see it. Like, oh, it's been there all this time. I didn't even know it. Now, these are the transiting planets, certainly not your own, but how does that relate to where your Chiron is? How does that relate to where your Venus is? How does that relate to where your Jupiter is? Because, and what house does it happen with in your chart? Like for me, it's all going to be in my house of Libra, because I have a Libra rising, and what's directly across is the house of Libra. And Aries is in it, because Aries is normally in the first house, and your rising sign sets the stage for where the first house begins. Okay, so we have that coming up in 2 days. And then it's going to go on for a week and a half. So you're going to be able to work with this energy and find what it is that you need to let go of, right? So, and then it's going to have also this loving effect, because Venus is going to be in a sextile to Mars. Now, this is like a half a trine. It's supportive. It's loving. And Venus likes Mars. Let's go dancing, right? So that is something that we can see, how to be kind with ourselves, how to be loving towards ourselves, because so many of us are very good at beating ourselves up, right? So that was then. Oh yeah. Then we have Mars going into Cancer, but that's not until the end of the month. But that's going to be big. So let's see. I want to get to, that's the March 11th. We just talked about that. Let's talk about Mars a little bit, because Mars went retrograde on October 30th of last year. So he's been in Gemini this whole time. And he's just at that point where he gets out of his shadow phase. Now, stick with me, because here comes the retrograde tail.
Yeah, it's going to go eyes roll back.
So he's clipping along in in Gemini at his normal speed. And then all of a sudden, he went retrograde. Now, going retrograde for 7 months is normal for Mars, but spending 7 months in one sign is not necessarily normal. It happens, but it isn't the usual. So he's been in Gemini this whole time, and he went backwards and he went forwards. And even when he went forward, he's still in that shadow phase, that phase where when he slowed down, the rest of everything was moving at its normal pace. He was covering territory that he already went through once. So when he went through the second time, he really couldn't take action, but he was able to gain material, able to gain information on what to do when he finally gets to the point where he can go forward again, which he did. January 12th, he went direct. He was at 24 degrees of from 24 degrees all the way back down to 8 degrees. And now that he is back up to that 24 degree mark, he is just getting out of his shadow. And I do believe that that happens on the 15th. So just before St. Patty's Day, when everybody's ready to go do a jig, that shadow phase will be over with. What to take action on will be presented. He'll have a plan of attack.
So is that the 15th you're saying, that the plan of attack?
Yeah.
Everybody get that, write that down. 15th,
right? Because
when he was, attack.
Right? When he was retrograde, you know, he was going over what he already saw that didn't work out for him. Or maybe it did. What do you need to let go of? What do you need to redo, restructure, reframe, rephrase? Because Gemini is all about la 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 la, talk, right? And Mars is the planet of action. So another very interesting fact is that Mercury is the only one who really can talk to Mars. And he's the only one who can really talk to Pluto. He's a psychopomp, and he can go deep, deep, deep with Pluto, right? So aspects in your chart between Mercury and Pluto, Mercury and Mars, these are points, places where you might be able to communicate how to take action. And Mars in turn can turn around and say, well, we need to take action now. And Mercury can go to Pluto and get the information for you and come back unscathed, where some planets get beating up.
Just the 15th, or is that the week of the 15th?
That's the 15th.
What I'm saying is it only the day of the 15th, or do we have like a week of?
Oh, yeah, we have time all around there, because he's not going to zip out of the sign of Gemini. He will leave Gemini on the 25th of March.
Okay,
but so he's still going to be in Gemini. So you'll still be able to finish up your notes, get everything ready, get the new makeup, all that other stuff, put it all in order, and be able to take action on it. And when he takes action,
I guess it's 10 days to do the plan of action, so that's pretty good.
Yes. And then he's going to go into Cancer.
And then what happens then?
Then now he's in a sign that's controlled by the moon, and he wants to take action.
So you're still wanting to take action?
Well, yes, but he needs to calm down. Don't go, he needs to consider others as well as what his wants are.
Okay. That's pretty good. So the 15th to the 25th, everybody take your action. 25th on, you got to calm down and think about everybody else.
Right.
Okay.
And on the 15th, we're also going to have the sun conjunct Neptune, and they're going to be throwing a square over to Mars. They're going to give him a little bit of a challenge.
So the 15th.
The sun's going to say, no, wait a minute. You're going into a water sign. You can't run through a water sign. You can try.
Oh, you're talking about Cancer when we get to Cancer.
Yeah. Right. And so when the sun, because this is the 15th, he's getting prepped now on the 15th, because 10 days later, he's going into Cancer. So, and well, I'll get to the 29 degrees in a minute, but when the sun and Neptune square him, they're going to provide him with a challenge. They're going to try to rein him back in. No, you think you have all of your information, but look at your notes. And I look at my notes and I go, yeah, that's why I have all these sticky things and I still can't figure out what I wrote, you know.
I'm that way. Take notes and can't read my own notes.
Exactly. My shorthand is terrific, but I don't read shorthand. So, you know, that was a long time ago when I had to take shorthand.
Okay, so we're down to what you were talking about. What now?
We were talking about Mars and
Okay.
his journey through Gemini.
Okay.
And it hasn't been the best, but it hasn't been the worst. And if you'll just see what has happened on the world stage, we've gotten misinformation and we got true information, and we got true information and we got misinformation. And then we got people doubling down on their lies. I mean, what the hell? Excuse my French. But anyway, so they're taking action on the stuff that's going to get their butts thrown in jail. Are you nuts?
Yeah.
Okay. So on March 17th, on St. Patty's Day, we're going to have the sun and Mercury catch up to the sun in Pisces. All right. So they're going to be conjunct. And then we're going to have Venus in a sextile to Saturn. So we're going to have grounding. And this is another moment of getting our thoughts together.
On the 17th.
Yep. Because of that Mercury Sun conjunction.
So I think we got just last week. Well, that was going to Cancer. We need to calm down. Is that about it for the last week?
Well, that'll be, well, let me see. We have on the 18th, we have Mercury sextiling Pluto. Now, here's another moment of truth coming out. Mercury's talking to Pluto. Mercury in Pisces is talking and sextiling Pluto, which is refining what Pluto's plans are. While Gemini tries to talk him out of the worst of it, Mercury, is getting the information to come back and give us, this is how bad it can get. Imagine the worst and be relieved when it doesn't happen, right? Because they're working in the sextile, and Mercury as the psychopomp is able to talk to Pluto and calm him down, right? So that brings us to the 19th. Now everything is, let's hone it up. Let's hone everything up, right? On the 19th, we have perception. Our perceptions are sharpened. And we have that Mercury sextile Uranus coming into play. So he's moving fast, good old Mercury. And now he's left Pluto, and now he's talking to Uranus, who is another sign who knows how to throw lightning bolts and blow off the tops of volcanoes and create earthquakes. So again, we have information coming and a chance to hone, polish, fold it neatly, put it in a drawer, hang it out to dry so it doesn't get mildew, to do the things that we need to do to prepare for the next week. So then on March 20th, we have Venus conjunct the North Node. And that is really how to let go, what you need, how to love yourself and take yourself forward. The North Node is about letting go of what no longer serves you, but the way forward. As the South Node is showing you what no longer serves you. Mm-hmm. What is it from a past life? What is that childhood wounding that now, at my age, some of these things, even though I still remember them, it's time to just oh yeah, we're all human beings, Yeah. It's okay, Ma. I understand. Because that's usually where our childhood woundings come from. Things happen in the home.
You're saying that last week was more like calming down and you know, thinking about others, how you're
Right.
others.
And ourselves, including ourselves in that, because Saturn in Pisces is a little more community based. This is mutable.
Mm-hmm.
Pisces is a mutable sign, and mutable is a little more que sera, sera.
Right.
You know, even though he wants to bring a chalice to the party,
Yeah.
everybody else is just glugging it out of the bottle. So then, okay, so on the 20th, we have the new moon in Aries, and we have the equinox, the sun going into Aries, and we have the equinox happening all at the same time, and it will be exact at 5:24 p.m. Eastern time. So adjust for your time zone hour-wise. And that's that moment of balance. There's something to watch for. How did you think about this? How do you feel when that time period comes, that whole hour? Because the equinox is really like a day before, the day of, and the day after. It's a 3-day stretch. And so when you get there, it's like, try to remember how you feel. Try to remember if you just have this sense of release. Now, Mars is a planet that controls Aries.
Now, how is that going to benefit us to remember? What do we do with that information if you remember how you feel those 3 days?
It would be something to draw upon whenever you get into trouble, particularly if something in your Aries or a transiting sign is throwing an aspect while going through Aries to something in your chart. How do you deal with this energy, right?
Okay.
Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is the planet of action. Let's get going. Let's get going. Aries controls the cerebral, the brain, the eyebrows, the eyes. But Aries can't do anything without the rest of the body because this is what he controls. So he has to send signals everywhere. So while he can be terse and curt with language, it's only because, hey, if you don't pick up that sandwich and get it to my mouth, and if Taurus doesn't chew with his teeth in that bottom jaw, get it moving, and Mercury doesn't get in there and swallow it all the way down in through our gullet, I can't do nothing. I can't survive.
So then what body parts does each sign have or affected each sign?
Oh, now that's one of my favorite things to talk about, because we have the personal planets, the I am, I say, I eat. I can't remember exactly all of them right now. Sorry. I have other things.
I can ask that next time.
Right, Taurus is the jaw and the throat, upper throat in through here, right? The part that connects to the Gemini, which is the shoulders, the arms and fingers and hands, and the lungs, and the expanding of the rib cage in order to take that deep breath. And Mercury gets it out there. Mercury says it, right? And then we have Cancer, which is the breast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. That puts us through the first 4 elements.
Right.
Fire, earth, air, and water.
Okay.
The next one comes Leo, back to fire. And Leo controls the heart. And here's a fact, which I'm sure, especially you know, and all of us know. The brain cannot function without the heart, and the heart cannot function without the brain.
Right.
So now we have a fixed sign, because Leo comes in the middle of a season. Cardinal is the beginning of a season. Fixed is the center month of the center sign of the season. And mutable is the changeling. It's the end of the season. We're getting ready to go into another sign, into another season. So Leo, as that fixed, He's just as fixed as this cardinal boss over here in the brain. He wants, he feels, he is the entertainer. He's humorous, but he's also very, very sensitive, right? So that brings us to Leo. Cancer is the nurturing breast. Leo is the heart. Libra is the kidneys, the balance. Then we get into Virgo. Now we're into the internal organs, right? We're in that heartfelt center of our body. Virgo is the spleen and the upper intestine and the internal organs like that, the gallbladder and that area of our digestive tract.
Okay.
Then when we get into Scorpio, we're into the sexual organs, of course, but we're also into the lower intestines, the deeper part of the digestive tract, the things that retention how it is. Some days you get all bound up, and Scorpio does that. And Scorpio also can do that to himself and sting himself with his tail. Scorpio can be his own worst enemy because he hits himself and oops, another one bites the dust. So, and then we get to Sagittarius, and now we're at another fire sign, and now we're at the mutable fire sign because he is the end of that autumn season, right? So he controls the thighs. He's the runner. He's the, okay, Mars up here, Aries wants us to go get him a sandwich. We can't get to the refrigerator if you don't use your legs, right? I mean, you have to get up and you have to walk. So he's the I go get it. And then we have Capricorn who controls the knees. I'm going to climb to the highest. Capricorn's the cardinal. We often refer to him as the school principal and the Hierophant and the father figure in our lives, because even though Libra is the scales and balance of justice, Capricorn is that you can do it, but not until you get your room clean. You can't climb that mountain until you take care of all the particulars first. If you don't have the right gear for climbing, you can't put anything, you can't chink anything into the rocks so that you have a bungee cord in case you fall from there. And you're silly because you're doing this alone. Are you nuts? I digress. But that's Capricorn. Climb the highest, be the best, do it this way, do it in the foundational way, do it by following the rules first. Then you earn your freedom. And then from there we go to Aquarius, who is the shins. And he's all about, again, action, going and get, walking, dancing, loves to do all that sort of stuff. But now he's a fixed sign because he's in the center of winter.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because Dream Journey 1 says Scorpio grabs a bowl of chili and fixes the problem.
Yeah. Sometimes I can testify I've gotten a bowl of chili thrown at me. I got a husband that was a Scorpio. So, oh yeah, I got your bowl of chili.
Okay.
All over the wall behind my head.
Okay, so Aquarius was the shins.
Right. That's the shins, and it's another service to the people. What can I get you? What do you need? Aquarius is about community. He brings the water. He brings the water. He's the water bearer. He's not a water sign. He's an air sign, but he's the fixed air sign. And then we come to Pisces. And Pisces is the feet and the ankles, the swimmer. And the story about Pisces is that two fish tied themselves together. They were brothers. And the father got mad at them both and threw them to the fishes. And they didn't want to lose each other, so they tied their tails together so that they would stay together through eternity. Now, there's certainly a whole lot more to that story than that. But anyways, so each part of the body is controlled by a sign. And where we have problems, where we have these old wounds from past lives, often make themselves apparent again in the same places. I'll use myself for an example. I'm a Gemini sun, Sagittarius moon, Libra rising, and an Aries north node. Sinuses are always plugged up. Injuries to my shoulders. Through a past life regression, I found out that a wall fell on me and both my shoulders were broken and my head was fractured. I had been through another past life moment. I had been gored by a wild boar.
Oh boy.
And when I had that regression, those pains went away.
Mm.
And the pain that was in my thigh from where the boar had stabbed me has not been back.
Okay.
Has not been back. And then my Aries, my Libra is I have an autoimmune disease. I have systemic lupus, and your kidneys are affected by that.
Right.
So, they have ways of manifesting. And when you feel these aches and pains, it could be from a past life. It could be because it's a prominent sign for your body and you should check it out. Or just educate yourself and do the things that you're supposed to do, and don't eat 6 Oreos because sugar is going to make your kidneys act up.
All right, well, Diana, we've only got about 20 minutes left, and we were going to do a few card reads. So you want to hit the last few highlights before we go into that?
Hold on one second. This is my son calling, and it's kind of important.
Okay.
I just passed him off. I'll text him.
See, Ginger and Chili, you're both throwing.
Tell her I got really good at ducking. It wasn't just the chili.
So anyway, y'all can go ahead and request our card pull. Start playing. We're going to get the last highlights at the very end, and then we're going to go into if somebody wants a message from the guides or be pulling cards for you. So what are the last few highlights then at the end of the month?
Let me just get this to him. It was kind of important, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were still working on that.
No. Well,
I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and you go ahead and work on that. I'm going to show you the card I pulled for today. Is your vibration, and the card I pulled today. It is safe for you to shine. So it is safe for you to shine, and so everybody who is hiding their gifts in what they have to show, or it's safe now to shine, because we're developing a community that's allowing us to be able to come out and show what we have, what we're doing. So this is what was come as a raise your vibration is it is safe for you to shine. So, okay, Diana. So are you got your stuff together?
Back together. I'm back together.
All right.
All right. So on March 20th, we have the sun and the new moon, and we have the eclipse not happening all at the same eclipse. That's later in the month. Sorry. We had the equinox happening all at the same time, 5:24 in the evening. So, start keeping track of things. What do you feel when there are major changes in the sky? And then on the 21st, the moon at 1:23 p.m. is the exact new moon. Okay, so we will feel it the day before because it won't be visible. The sliver will be gone. And it will be occurring in the afternoon on the 21st. And here's the moment we've been waiting for. Pluto goes into Aquarius. Now at 29 degrees it's a critical degree. So before any planet changes signs, it spends time at 29 degrees. 29 degrees and 60 minutes before it's into the next degree. When it's at 0, it's played out. It's moved into a new sign. So see if you notice that. Just take a moment. For us here, it happens at, okay, I didn't write down the time. Sorry.
That's okay.
But it's not like you're not already feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that 29 degree. This is a critical degree. It's nothing you can do to change it. It has to play out. The time for that was a long time ago, especially with Pluto, even at that 27, 28 degrees. There's no turning back. But for him, definitely at 29 degrees. So now when he goes into Aquarius, it's not the automatic dawning of the age of Aquarius. Like I said earlier, we still have 140 years to go for this age to be over with, because it's 2,160 years or so, roughly, for an era. But we're going to start to feel more about the community based, more about our personal needs and how we affect our neighbors, our brothers, our family, ourselves. What do we do with the animals around us? How do we affect what is going on around us? It's like taking responsibility for your humanness, right? Now here comes that retro word. Because he's not going to go very far into Aquarius this time. He goes in until, I wrote all that time down. He goes from March 23rd on, and then he's going to go retrograde on May 5th till June 11th. And then he's going to go direct again in October. But he doesn't get back into Aquarius until January 2nd of 2024.
Okay.
So
how does that affect us at the end of March?
This is, well, because now he's in a phase that he's already going over. He's going to go so far into it right now. I don't think he even hits the full 1 degree. Maybe I'm sorry, he probably does, but I know I've written it on here, but I can't find it because the sticky note is no longer on the page.
Okay. Well, again, Diana, what are the highlights of that? Like, I mean, we're going through every day. Is every day of the last week of March significant?
Yes. And what's significant about this Pluto back and forth, because he's going to do it a couple of times before he's completely done. He won't be completely done with Capricorn until 2024, November of 2024. He'll be done, and in our lifetimes, unless the powers that be say something different.
Back to what's significant about the end of March. How's everybody going to be feeling on the end of March? What go through the last week? I mean, I know you're going all the way to the next year, and what I'm asking about is the last week of March.
A reality check. Is this still a continuous reality check? It's like it played out. We've been through it. We know what the truth is. We saw it with our very own eyes. This is the tearing down of the old structures. This is the rocking the foundation and finding out that there's gravel or that there's a lake underneath and we can't rebuild on the same spot. We have to move it over a foot. We have to change something in the new foundation that is to come. Mm-hmm. And he's going to show it to us. He's going to show it to us. It's going to affect us for a while yet to come. This is our eye-opening experience, our chance to wake up to what it is. We're going to see more contact from ETs.
The last week.
More spaceships. I told you the other day that the 2 I just saw.
I'm just asking about the last week of March.
Well, it's hard to just say.
Okay.
It's really hard to say.
Well, I think you did when you said it's a reality check.
Yeah.
So I think you did say it. So anyway, I think that's good information. Because everything you've given us for a week. I mean, I'll just summarize what I was picking up on. It was the first week we've already gone through that, and starting on the 11th, we're needing to work on our old wounds and work on those kind of things, and then the 15th we do a plan of attack, and then the next is when Cancer comes in, we do balance, and then at the last week is reality check. I think that was pretty good what you said on all those.
Okay.
And so this is kind of a plan. I mean, it's a general plan because there's so many different signs and different ways of people being affected.
Right.
But I do think that gives us kind of a roadmap.
It does. And because on the 25th now, that's when Mars is going to make his shift into Cancer, where we can take action and how to take action in a much gentler fashion than we've been taking action. There's bullies out there, but what can we do to set our own boundaries? Saturn in Pisces, he's going to be there for 3 years. Mars going into Cancer, he's going to be there for a while, 17 months maybe. So it's a matter of it's putting ourselves together, getting ourselves prepared, which is what every day is about anyway.
Right.
But these are the bigger planets that are making these kinds of shifts. Because, Mars and Mercury and Venus, they're going to be making shifts on a more regular basis. The ones that take longer, those are the bread and butter planets, the ones that we earn our living with, the ones that we, just even take a nap, that dictate to us how we live our everyday.
Yeah. Well, okay. At this point, does anybody have any questions to ask? I know we're having a little bit of problems with our chat. Susie's been having some issues with her computer, and I'm not sure we're seeing everything. I think we are, but I'm not sure. So if anybody has any questions, when I might or might not see it, we can pull up. So anyway, if anybody has some questions for Diana about the month of March, go ahead and put it in. We have just a few minutes left. So if you do have any questions, go ahead or either if you want a card pulled. So go ahead, Diana. Summarize everything for us because we're coming to a close.
Changes are coming, and you're going to see them. The changes that you couldn't put a roadmap to before.
Okay.
Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. I know it. I just know it. I just know it. But you couldn't put your finger on it. It's going to become more and more evident.
Okay.
And there's going to be less frustration provided you do the inner work you need to do. That's what we all have to do all the time anyway. For me, this is where you look at your North Node. Because if we as human beings are here to be our highest self, our best selves, it is our sun sign. It is about being the best of our moon sign. But the rising sign is where we need to be. The best of our rising sign and how we get there is the best of our North Node. That's the vehicle we drive. So for me, that Aries North Node can be bossy and a dictator, or because my Libra is the rising sign, I go with balance. I go with a gloved hand and never, I taught 4-year-olds. So you have to be fair, firm, and impartial and stern. And that's what you have to do with yourself through this.
Okay. Well, Brenda Lee Lynch has a question. Diana, can you tell us about Saturn return and the retrograde back into Aquarius?
His retrograde is not going to come until May of 2024, I think. I could have that date wrong, but he is going to retrograde for a very little bit and just dip his toe into Pisces and then move back on. Now, Saturn return, are you talking about your own Saturn return, Brenda?
Um, Probably she's talking about her own, but you don't have her sign, so I know you need that. But it's just tell us about Saturn return and the retrograde back into Aquarius.
Well, when he goes back into Aquarius, he's going to, think more about the community, but he's not going to be there very long, and he's just going to dip his toe in, and then he's back in Pisces.
Okay. Well, good. Thanks. All right. We have, let's see, we're at the end. Let's see. Oh, this will be the last. Okay. I would love a card, please. So go ahead and give Esther G. You want to pull a card for her?
Sure. Let's do messages from the spirit nature guides.
Okay. While you're doing that, I want to go ahead and talk about the next show will be on Monday, March 13th. going to be Barbara Lamb, who is a world which is, let me pull up my thing. I get it all mixed up. She progresses. Let's see what she is. She's a regression therapist. She's a world-class regression therapist. She's been doing it years. She's part of this book that we're going to be talking about hybrids on Monday. And she is part of the one that wrote about the hybrids. And she's been doing this for years. I don't know that's hardly anybody more experienced in this field than she is. So join us Monday at 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern time.
And there you had a beautiful mermaid on the cover of that book. And the card for Esther is a dolphin.
Oh, wow.
Dolphin is about entering the dream time, right? Can bring back the messages from beneath the sea.
Mm-hmm.
From that deep dive of Saturn in Pisces and the deep dive that Pisces does all the time.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Diana. Thanks for all your information. I know everybody got a lot. I got a lot out of it. Thanks, Susie, for your help. And we will see y'all on Monday with Barbara Lamb. And we'll see y'all later. And all right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.